By the end of this video, I will have shared my 7 favourite books I've read recently. I'll be sharing a small brief and 3 points I took away from each book. If you're looking for some inspiration and growth in 2021, in my humble opinion, these are a good start. What is going on, guys? If you're new to the channel and like personal development, then hit that subscribe button. If at any point you like what you see, give a little like. Obviously, you can give it a thumbs down, but I'd appreciate comments. So before moving towards the book, allow me to tell you an interesting fact, which I found quite interesting, and it might inspire you to read a little more in 2021. Yale University School of Public Health surprised the world with an unbelievable discovery. During a study, they found out that people who read at least 30 minutes a day survived an average of 23 months longer as compared to non-readers. From my understanding, this didn't include magazine readers. Due to the pandemic, the past 12 months have been a good time to read. I kind of think it's going to be similar for 2021. So let's get started with the books. So book number 1 is Life's Amazing Secrets by Gaur. Here's the book. I brought it with me when I came to the UK. Written by an Indian monk and motivational speaker. He was actually born where I currently live in India, in Pune. The book's Life Amazing Secrets, How to Find Balance and Purpose in Your Life is a great read. Gaur believes that life's vehicle is balanced on 4 wheels. These 4 wheels are personal life, relationships, work life, and social contribution. This book also narrates different stories and conveys a significant life lesson through these stories, often referring to his own encounters. My top 3 grab and go points from this book: always be grateful even in bad times. Work in all 4 areas to maintain the balance in the vehicle of your life, and spiritual practice should go hand in hand with the above 4 wheels of your life, which were personal life, relationships, work life, and social contribution. Book number 2 then is Awaken, the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. Released in 1991. And this book was actually recommended to me by a very good friend of mine quite a while ago now. I've actually read it twice since then. I even created a mini training course based on some of the elements. A book for anyone who wants to master their mind, body, emotions, and finances. You'll learn about the motivating forces of pain and pleasure, the importance of the questions you ask, and the necessity of clarifying and living by your values. You need to read it slowly and do the exercises. And even if you're not a fan of Tony Robbins, which I know there's people out there, there's always going to be people that are not fans, I would still highly recommend this if you're into personal development. So my key takeaways from the book, just 3 quick ones. You have the potential to make massive changes, but for this, you should first raise your standards and start believing in yourself. We must change our belief system and develop a sense of certainty that we can and will meet the new standards before we actually do. It's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, but it's what we do consistently. Okay, book number 3 is The 5 AM Club by Robin Sharma. The 5 AM Club narrates a fictional story. The story opens up with a businesswoman who is undergoing extreme financial crisis and tries to commit suicide. Just before she commits suicide, she sees this point of a Spellbinders event. This pass gives birth to hope within her. When she goes to attend that event, she meets with the artist who was unhappy with his life, and also a billionaire, Mr. Riley. Mr. Riley was a symbol of success who succeeded in both financial and personal success in life. He invited both of these disappointed people to the same place, but at 5 AM the next morning. He wanted to teach them how to make the most of this least distractive time to thrive in life. The crux of the book starts from here. 3 precious points I took away from the book. Success is somehow interlinked with waking up early. Slow but steady efforts take you closer to your goals. Deceive your excuses, lies, doubts, and fears. They are your worst enemies. Book number 4 is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Here it is. A counterintuitive approach to living a good life is written by Mark Manson. You may have heard the hype of this book, and being honest, for me, the hype was well worth it. Contrary to its title, the book throws light on how not to give a fuck, how not to care about the wrong things. Mark explains how to filter the right things from the junk of unnecessary stuff that we are giving a fuck about. The unmatched humour of Mark makes this book stand out from the rest of any other self-help books I've ever read. So if you want to start a new year with a punch of positivity, but in a lighter vein, read this book. It's definitely a must. My top 3 lessons from this book: give a fuck about less but meaningful things to be the person you want to be. Live your life. Do not imitate the person or personality you are not. Crave a life with decent problems, as problems lead to happiness. Mark said, to be happy, we need something to solve. Happiness is therefore a form of action. Book number 5, I don't have the book with me, it's back in India, but is Mindset, the New Psychology of Success. So Mindset, the New Psychology of Success. After years of analysis, psychologist Carol Dweck came up with a secret of success in this book. She ponders that there are 2 types of mindset. One is a fixed mindset and the other is a growth mindset. Type 1 people are bound to their belief that their abilities are fixed. Contrary to this, people with a growth mindset think that they are unstoppable. They can stretch their abilities to climb even higher on the ladder of success. Read this book to identify what type you are and what you can do if you are someone with a fixed mindset. 3 takeaways for me. Your mindset is responsible for shaping you. Studies showed that mindsets start developing at the age of 4. Thankfully, Carol identified that mindsets aren't set in concrete. So don't worry if you have a fixed mindset. You are still in charge of changing it. Number 6, again, I don't have the book with me, it's in India. Book number 6 is Man's Search for Meaning. Another book I want to recommend to you. The author of this extraordinary book, it really is Viktor Frankl. Frankl chooses to explain the meaning of life to readers by narrating his own experience in a concentration camp. He throws light on the mental situation of his fellow dwellers of the camp. While scanning the psychological conditions of his fellows in the Nazi concentration camp, Frankl identified that the biggest quest of man's life is to search for meaning. He explained the psychological pattern of his companions in 3 stages. Shock in the first few days, lack of sympathy after getting used to brutal camp life, and then disappointment with life after the liberation. He closely identified these patterns and protected himself from entering this loop by finding meaning. The meaning of his life was to use these unfortunate experiences to be a better person. 3 of my takeaways from this: if you have a purpose in life, you can endure anything. You cannot control your surroundings, but your inner environment is definitely under your control. So instead of wasting time on what you can't fix, fix it yourself. Finally, face your fears to defeat them. And finally, book number 7, Who Moved My Cheese? Dr. Spencer Johnson is the author of this book. This book talks about life changes and tells us how different kinds of people respond to these changes differently. He tells a fable of 4 characters named Sniff, Hem, Haw and Scurry in a maze, and they are all in search of their favourite food, aka cheese. In this story, cheese portrays your desires and the maze is your life. You must read this short, light-hearted story to identify how they cope with changes and approach the same motive differently. 3 points to remember from this book that I took away is change is an inevitable part of life. If you know how not to be overwhelmed by it, you can enjoy it. Your source of pleasure may not stay the same or last forever throughout life, so wise people look for new sources instead of crying over the spilled milk. Instead of drooling over cheese in your dreams, get up and gain it. So they are 7 books that I have read and some that I've read previously before. Here's some other books that I've got with me that I haven't read just yet. These are next on my list. I've got Atomic Habits by James Clear, The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. I love Simon Sinek. He's an awesome guy and very thought-provoking. Think Like a Monk by Shetty. And then the final one I've got is another Robin Sharma one, like the 5 AM Club. Who Will Cry When You Die. But yeah, the reason I brought this book was because I liked Robin Sharma's writing style anyway and the way he portrays stories. Well, that's it for today, guys. Please put comments of your favourite book. If I haven't read it, maybe I'll add it to my list for when I have time to start going through them. Well, that's it for today, everyone. If you have enjoyed the content and you haven't already, I'd appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. And if you liked anything, then you can give it a like. If you didn't, you can give it a thumbs down. Entirely up to you, but leave some comments there. This has been Richard Roza. Peace out.